Hello YouTube, Ken Hale here with another Black Desert Online video for you. And this one is a follow-up to a video that I released a few weeks ago in which I showed you the Guardian pre-awakening clearing speed. And I went to Polyforest, I went to Mansion Forest, and I went to the Sherekhan necropolis. And I grinded there with a loot scroll and the Sylvia blessing. And then I showed you the results. If you haven't seen that video and you're interested, you can go check the annotation over there, or maybe a link down below. I don't know where I'm going to post it. If I even post it, I might forget it. If I do forget it, you can check on my YouTube listing. It hasn't been that long. It should be quite easy to find, but I will do my best to try to post a link for you. So the way the footage is going to be shown in this video is the same way that I did for the previous video. For the first minute for each area will be played at normal speed, and the remaining footage for each area will be at double speed. And I'll do it this way so that you can see how the grinding looks like for a minute, and then you can see how I grind for a longer period of time, so you can see how I do it and you can compare to how you do it and see if maybe you might be able to improve on my results. All right, so I went back and grinded for 1 hour at Polyforest, 2 hours at Sherekhan necropolis, and 2 hours at Mansion Forest. And we're going to talk about the best results that I got for the Mansion Forest hours and the Sherekhan necropolis hours. Before we go ahead and talk about the results, let me tell you what changed since the first video. And mainly 3 things have changed. The first thing is obvious. Now I am using her awakening skills, so the damage will be different, and she actually has pretty good damage on her awakening skills, so that will affect the results. But the other thing that changed, of course, is my gear. I was sitting at 222 plus buffs when I did the previous video. Now I am at 235 with the awakening weapon and a Kudum and a Zarka. So keep that in mind. I will show my gear on the screen right now over here. And the third thing that changed was my looting habits. In the previous video, if you watched it, remember that I mentioned that I stopped to let my pets catch up with the looting, and sometimes I even looted things manually myself. This time around I just went all out and kept running, didn't stop for no loot, except for a couple times in Mansion Forest where sometimes I was killing 5 mobs too quickly and my pets were just leaving the 5 mobs worth of loot behind, and I felt like that was too much. I could not abandon the old habits in those cases, but even then it was only a couple times where that happened, so it shouldn't affect the loot too much. So yeah, those are the 3 things that probably affected the loot: the awakening skills, my gear that changed, and my looting habits. And I'll post my pets that I have that I'm using right up here again, so they can check and see what I'm using. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's compare the results of my first run with the pre-awakening and now with the awakening skills and weapons. And forgive me while I look at my data here because I do not have that all memorized. Alright, so I started with the Polyforest numbers here. Initially I wanted to grind there for 2 hours like I did with the other areas too, but I was pretty bored of running around quickly and just one-shotting things, so I just left after an hour. But I think that was a pretty good run anyways. I didn't get interrupted. The only problem that I had was at the end I had to go to my horse to put away some of my trash so that I could keep grinding because I had extra stuff in my bag. So, you know, you can add whatever you can get from 30 seconds to a minute worth of looting on top of what I have here and get a better result maybe. So let's see here. My original pre-awakening run, the best run I did, I got 7,450 trash loot from Polyforest, and now with the awakening I went, and my change of looting habits, I got 8,573 trash loot. So that's a pretty big change there, over 1,000 more trash loot with the awakening. That's probably all because of my change of looting habits, like not stopping to loot. So I'll thank you guys who suggested that I loot that way. I'll keep going this way from now on. But I would say overall, Polyforest got a big jump there. The damage didn't really change, even though my gear changed. I was already one-shotting for the most part, most of the mobs there, and I continued to one-shot mobs there after the awakening skills. So maybe the AP difference helped a little bit with some of the tougher mobs, but I don't think it helped that much. All right, so now moving on to the results on Mansion Forest. Let me open my screenshots here. All right, so looking at the pre-awakening run here for Mansion Forest, the best run I got was 2,226 trash loot from Mansion Forest, and then going back to the awakening, I got a lot more as well. I got 3,402 trash loot on Mansion Forest, and I actually had to expand the rotation I was using when I went back with awakening weapon and gear, because the rotation I was using previously, the mobs were not spawning fast enough to keep up with my killing speed. So yeah, that's a pretty good increase there, over 1,000 trash loot again in Mansion Forest. So I'm quite happy with the change in awakening, and I'm quite happy with the change in AP as well. All right, and now moving on to the last area here, which is Sherekhan necropolis, and this is the biggest jump. I was really surprised with this one. The first run with pre-awakening, I got 4,065 trash loot drop in Sherekhan necropolis, And when I went back there with the Awakening and the extra AP, I got 6,720 trash loot. So almost 3,000 trash loot on that run with the Awakening weapon and new gear. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's a lot of trash loot from one area, in my opinion. Yeah, I would say that overall the Awakening has improved the clearing speed of the Guardian class by quite a bit. We got over 1,000 loot in Poly and in Mansion Forest, and then almost 3,000 more loot in Sherekhan necropolis, which is quite a huge jump. The other thing, on top of my 235 AP, I'm also using buffs. I'm using alchemy stone, I'm using food buffs, and I am using potions. So I have about 30 to 40 extra AP on top of those 235 that I mentioned before. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that's I think all I wanted to discuss about this. That's all I wanted to show you guys. If you think I could have done anything better or different, or if you want to see any other grinding areas with the Guardian, you can feel free to stop by the Twitch stream link down below and suggest the area there. And if I can, I would love to be able to show you what the Guardian can do. I'm having a lot of fun with the class, and it's, in my opinion, the most fun class in BDO at the moment of all the classes I've played. But I hope you guys are excited for the release next week. Speaking of next week, before the Guardian comes out outside of Korea, I will be releasing my little guide here, so stay tuned for that, coming out some point early next week before the patch comes out for you guys. But yeah, with all that out of the way, I would like to thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button and comment down below if you want to share some of your experiences with the Guardian. If you want to see more video content from me, feel free to hit that subscribe button and follow the social media links down below to join our community on Twitch and on Discord. Alright, so that's all I have for you for today, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.
Yeah.